right, good morning, everyone. Again, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you to the International Carnival Conference for it again having Jambalasi Grenada present at such important spaces right now for the Afro-Caribbean culture and just carnival and industry, cultural industry, creative industry. So Jambalasi Grenada is an entity which deals with the documentation and the preservation of Grenada's traditional jab-jab culture with emphasis on the song. Because you could see, you could get facets of jab-jab throughout any territory which once housed enslaved Africans. So the niche market for the Grenadian jab-jab is the music. And we all know our two jab-jab tunes, right? But there is a formula to that. But before we go into that, I want to touch a bit on jab-jab. What is jab-jab? There's a lot of myth, a lot of mystery around jab. And first and foremost, jab has nothing to do with the devil. Jab is not demonic. A matter of fact, it's 180 degrees. Jab is strength. Jab is resilience. Jab is revolt against a system which was deliberately designed to mentally, physically, spiritually, socially, culturally, educationally, nutritionally, all the alleys rid you of all your identity and break you. Jab now revolt against this. The very set thing that was used to break you on all levels, psychology, we use that as a sense of power. We get even darker with the black. Now you could get black from anything, you know. I know there is a misconception also that to play authentic jab, you have to use old engine. That's totally untrue, because you're gonna get, depending on the era of time, what you use to get black changed. And people played jab long before cars came to Grenada. So you had from soot, which is burnt residue, charcoal, pigment. Strange enough, when they started to do road construction in Grenada, some persons used tar. And then when cars came to Grenada, we started using the old oil. But right now there's a big push, which is headed by Jambalasi Grenada, to get back to the fundamental ways of playing jab, which is through the charcoal. We had a very good experience on the road Juve morning in TNT alongside the Paramin Blue Devils, and we actually used the charcoal from Grenada, so it was a wonderful cultural integration as well. I want to say big respects to Jab Juve TT for that link as well. So we want to get all that myths and stuff out about jab. So if you look up, you're going to see, despite the seemingly, scary aesthetic, the jab is not demonstrating his or her own character. It is fighting against a system which is literally, 100% designed, like I said earlier on, to break you psychologically. A lot was done for that as well. But the jab has a song. The jab has a song. If you guys could flip the script for me, I'm trying to. All right, yeah, the jab has a song. So in 1991, Moss International came out with a song called Jambalasi Rule. Not 100% sure if most of you guys know the song. But that song was the first time in Grenadian history that the elements of the jab-jab song was deliberately recorded onto a record and hit the streets. Now that is the official start of the musical structuring of jab music. In that song, you will have three elements of the jab-jab song. There are three elements of the jab song. You have the drums. The drum has three drums in it: the bass, the coupe, the cutter. The bass is a constant doom, 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 doom. In any traditional Grenadian jab band, you're going to have a constant bass. Anybody who was on the road with us on Monday would have seen that. Then you have your mid-range or your cutter, which is more going to give you a dig-a-dig, 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 dig-a-dig. And then you have your coupe. Coupe is like the tone, the singing pattern of it, which is a constant tap, 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 tap. Now, these three rhythms have to come together to play as one to give you the overall jab-jab drum pattern. So this is the drums. Then you have the conch shell. The conch shell is critical. The conch shell now is the call, is the communicative instrument there. before any jab leaves the community, because we play jab by communities in Grenada. So what you're going to see is that you're going to hear first the shell man comes out and he's going to blow the pattern. And then you have something called the spelling, which is a call and response, witty way of bringing notice to local, regional, international, pop culture, whatever topics that is deemed important to have some level of light shine on it. So we're gonna just use a generic one. It's let's just say it's spelled Chicago. A chicken and a car can go to Chicago. But the idea is to get the information out on what particularly the topic is. So for instance, I'm gonna just go wing it right now off my head. Trinidad, we're in Trinidad. Mecca of Carnival, South of Grenada, most beautiful women in the world, Trinidad. You know, so you give little characteristics of what it is to get the point across. So these three elements has to be in your jab music for it to be considered authentic jab. Now you can have a jab rhythm without the shell, because the shell is an accompaniment instrument, but the heart and soul of the jab rhythm is the drums. Once you have the drums, the 3-in-1 drums, the bass, the coupe, the cutter, you would have satisfied the authenticity of the jab rhythm. Now, however tones you want to put it is up to you, but once it is riding on the constant bass, the coupe and the cutter, you're going to be okay. Now we've seen that the jab music has spread exponentially throughout the Caribbean, and now it is infiltrating the international market. So it's critical for producers in Grenada, in Trinidad, in the US, Europe, anywhere in the world, to be able to now reference these drum patterns from Grenada to build jab rhythms and understand. So I could have a rhythm, has nothing to do with jab, let's just say a traditional soca rhythm, and I have an artist from Grenada, like a Jab King, Skinny Bantan, Lava Man, Talpri, and get them to voice the rhythm. Now, does that make the rhythm a jab rhythm? No, it doesn't. It's definitely a Grenadian on a rhythm, but it does not make it a jab rhythm. And we're seeing a lot of that right now happening in Grenada, that rhythms are coming out of Grenada, and they are being promoted as jab rhythms because they have Grenadian artists on it. But the musical structuring of it does not adhere to the structuring of jab music. So it's critical that we understand the importance of the rhythm. There you could see that pic was taken on Juve Morning 4 days ago in Trinidad. As you could see, the bass, the middle drum, that's the bass. If you go to your right, you're going to see 2 drums on the side. That's your bass. That's your coupe, that's your cutter. The coupe is the one that's around the guy's shoulder, and you're going to have one right in the right-hand corner. That's your cutter. I'm going to show you a better picture, but I was happy to share this picture because this is live on the streets of TNT where the jabs came, and we definitely represented for there you go. So this is your drums. This is your traditional Grenadian drums there. Your bass, your coupe, your cutter. Once you have these 3 drums, you're irie, and you understand the pattern, you're definitely going to get that Grenadian funk, that Grenadian feeling. I know whenever a jab rhythm come on, people go crazy. And the thing is, it's a rhythm that connects us all, not just Grenada. It's that Grenada's pattern is just different to everybody else's pattern. You're going to get jab in Martinique, and you're going to get the jab Molassie, the Trinidad Blue Devil. They have their own song. They have the Crixton, and I learned a lot about it from a wonderful young man named Stefano Macano. He taught me a lot about the Blue Devil rhythm, and again, it's a slower BPM. It's different patterns, but you're going to see we all are connected through this jab. The niche markets are the rhythm. So I think it's critical that the Caribbean and the overall African diaspora understand that we are all connected through the traditional mass of jab, but we have unique traits and we have similar traits as well. So there is your holy trinity of the jab. more about Moss International. The truth is, if you listen to the rhythm, you're going to realize that a lot was done in terms of the musical structure. And besides taking it from the streets, you had to include guitars, bass, piano, keyboard, and whatnot. So, in order to get the rhythm to flow as a traditional tune, there was a lot that had to be done. So, I mean, we did a documentary in 2019. The name of it is Jambalasi Rule. They're making of a musical subgenre. You guys should check it out. It's on our social media platform, the YouTube platform. Check it out, Jambalasi Grenada. But it also showcases the time in Grenada's history where they made that move into a more identifiable music from Grenada, which again is a major turning point. And now, now in 2025, so about 34 years ago, now we're going to see fruit. People like Jab King touring, Lava Man touring, Skinny Bantan touring, and the other Caribbean communities are coming together to merge with the music. There again, you see the drum pattern live on the streets of Grenada. This picture was taken at our traditional mass festival. It's about a week or two before our Spice Mass, and these are some of the serious elders in the game. These guys are literally Jab royalties in Grenada, and you have the pattern live. Again, you see the conch shell, you see the chains. Let me just touch on the chains because the chains are critical. The chains, you're gonna see chains in Grenada's carnival, Grenada's Jab, and it is a major symbolism. The chains, which was once used to capture you, to keep you against your will and tie you down on the very sad voyage into the Caribbean, the transatlantic slave trade. On Juve morning, you're going to see these chains, but these chains now represent freedom. It's 100%, well, it's a 180 turnaround. It was used back then to capture you on the streets of Spice Mass. It's broken chains, which represents freedom from, like I tell you, a totally horrific system. So there's a lot of symbolism, there's a lot of power in the traditional mass of Jab Jab. And there you have the conch shell. That guy you're looking at, he's the capital of one of the most culturally sound villages in Grenada. It's a place called La Fillette, which is in the parish of St. Andrew. And capital, if you're listening to any Jab music, you hear the word cap or capital, it means the leader of the Jab Jab band, which is going to lead the procession on Juve morning in chants and spellings and whatnot. So there you have live, authentic pics. That's the call. That rhythm there, they're going to hear that Juve morning in most villages. Once the villagers hear that, it's time to come out. I had a beautiful experience during COVID. Strange enough, we had no carnival, but you can't stop the Jab. So I was actually on the countryside, and it was a beautiful thing to see when the shellman blew the call. You just see windows and doors open up, and you just see drums coming outside, shells coming outside, chains coming outside. It was just literally a beautiful moment. I wish I had it on camera, but I myself was just, it was one of those moments. Again, culture is inherited. You're going to see from old persons to middle-aged persons to young persons to babies playing Jab. And again, no persons may say, oh my God, they're using old oil, but chances are the old oil is really, really fading out right now. A lot is being done on a national level and also from Jambalasi Grenada, which is one of the leading entities for Jab Jab culture to really get back to the traditional ways of playing it. So it becomes more inclusive to every single body because Grenada Spice Mass is on a serious trend. We have continuous growth in visitors from since maybe 2019. I know we had 2 years where we didn't have any, government-sponsored carnival, but we still played the Jab. I think the Caribbean saw that, That's the rhythm. So that's the piece of that's rhythm live from the streets on Juve morning. Now, Just a little bit more, Grenada is a major exporter of the jab culture. It's more than a party. It means a global spread of a musical expression born and bred out of the history of our people. And this is really the essence of it. Now you're going to see different miscellaneous objects. We had a coffin on the streets of Port of Spain. And I remember when we got the coffin by the hotel which we were staying at, person were like, oh my God, the Canadians brought a coffin with them. And I'm like, yo, this have nothing to do with the devil. The coffin actually represents death to all the wrongs of society, gender-based violence, hunger, racism, slavery, it's just dead to the ills of society. Jab is a real resistance, a real revolt, and I think once we understand that, the music means even more to us.
The miscellaneous objects carried by the Jab during shooting are props for the street theater that is mass. These dolls, carts, coffins, chains, etc. are all valuable objects of play.
Of playing mass.
Is a gem.
And mass, when masquerade is, pretending to be something that you're not. So even you playing whatever masquerade you're playing, you're not actually that person, So we can't take it too literal. I'm just going to give you some more of the rhythm to hear the rhythm in its raw essence. Yeah, that's live off of the streets of Grenada again. You're gonna hear that Juve morning. Anybody been to Spice Mass? Okay, well, you guys need to come this year. it's it's August 11th and 12th. August 11th is the Juve morning, which I think is Grenada's niche market. It's very pristine. The Juve is still something that has a lot of traditional elements, although it is becoming commercialized because, it's growing. We're living in a world of technology, social media, so persons are seeing the experiences and they're coming in, but you're going to definitely get a fun-filled, a culturally filled experience in Grenada, and then you have the other aspects of it as well. Any questions for me? Anything you guys want me to explain? Any concerns, questions? No.
Do I need to go to the mic?
I can hear you. Yeah, I think they are.
You said that you experienced mass with Paramin.
Yeah.
Were there any similarities that you were able to identify between what has been preserved and what is performed in Grenada and what exists in Trinidad?
Yeah, definitely. It's one body. We just separated by ports. Remember, we were dropped off in different ports, but it's one nation on the job. They have, for instance, they have the horns, we have the horns. We use animal horns, but I think they have another way of getting their horns. The music, they still drum. They might not drum on goat skin rhythms, but they also tune the crickstins, and they have a particular pattern. So there are some similarities there. Even the dance and moves that I saw Stefano and his gang doing, the jabs in Grenada, we do dance as well. And just the whole masquerade of dabbing your body. I know they use blue, we use black, but there's again similarities. So that's why the cultural integration with Paramin and Jab Juve in general, I think was a very historic and a very important one for the overall Afro-Caribbean diaspora. And I would love to see other cultural integrations with islands like Guadeloupe and Martinique and Haiti and these places. These places have some serious jab that I definitely want to learn more about and learn and get some more similarities as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Ronald Prince. I always like the jab, and in little research I saw that I like to know where the names come from. So I Googled sometime and it says the Molasses is from molasses. The name molasses,
Correct.
is it?
Correct.
Where the black comes in?
Correct. So Earlier on, I mentioned that what we use to dab our bodies changed through eras. One of the first things you use, the first thing used was molasses, and then as time go on, life happened. You
Literally molasses came from the
Yeah,
molasses.
correct. And then you had chalk soot, which is burnt residue. And then you had remember Kambole. No, let's have a touch on Kambole. Kambole is the night before Juve. So you normally would burn your cane and you're going to use the residue. So it goes through eras. Right now in 2025, I mean, you have cars, so for some strange reason, we're using the old oil, but I mean, it's not something that you definitely want to use for obvious reasons. And I must say big respects to the Grenadian new administration, along with Jambalas. He was a very, very integral force to going back to the original charcoal. And again, one of the major reasons was that we saw persons were very interested in playing our jab, but I mean, obviously had concerns about the engine oil. And there was a very easy way to do that. Just go back to the original, which is the use of the charcoal. Aye.
So I am a Japanese performer.
Nice.
So I just wanted to find out, right? Because in Trinidad we have our own character that is called Jab Jab.
Correct.
Do you think that it's important that there is that distinction between our Jab Jab? Because we here we use black for the Jab that distinct difference between Jab, even though there are similarities, don't get me wrong. Your Jab Jab and our Jab Molasses and our Jab Jab character, because there's a even when I'm doing workshops with people in Trinidad, they don't understand that when they say Jab Jab, they are talking about you all.
Yeah, Grenada just have that vibe.
And because you all are more identifiable, I guess, than our local ones, I guess.
Well, go ahead.
So do you think it's important that that differentiation happens?
Well, I think that's why I was so intrigued by the integration, because, like I was saying, on a Caribbean level, but on a wider Afro-Caribbean culture level, we all one. It's just we all one, and that's what the world needs to understand. We all one. It's just literally whatever elements of the jab was able to continue after emancipation has a lot to do with the level of colonialism that particular territory went through. So remember, I went to Tobago, and that was the first time I saw jabber whips. I read about it before, but I've never seen that in my life. And I was like, yo, this is so cool. And with tails and whatnot. It's just the same people. Listen, it's the same family that just doing whatever elements survive. For us, that drum pattern survive. But it's one. Do not segregate it. The Caribbean needs to come together as one and show the world a unified front. That's why we need cultural integrations, so we could see our similarities and yet still see our differences. But it's one. It's like a cousin. You and a cousin mightn't look the same, but it's one bloody. It's one body. I mean, it's one lineage. Yeah. So I see that the same thing. It's just different elements that was able to sustain. Now, Grenada does have that jab vibes because our music, the music really helped spread the jab internationally. And people were like, yo, what's this beat? And then you're going to research and you're going to see these guys with horn helmets and whatnot, drums and whatnot, shells and chains. They're like, yo, this is kind of cool. So we have that going on for us. But it's one nation under jab. Yeah.
A pleasant good
Hi.
day to our distinguished guests, especially to you, the speaker here. I want to tell you that you really touched my soul with your detailed explanation of it. I just felt it in the core of my being,
Thank you.
especially the picture with these chains. It really brought tears to my eyes.
Wow. Thank
So,
you very much.
Thank you very much for that. What I want to find out is that what can we as a people, because we are all one,
Correct.
we say united we stand, divided we fall in the Caribbean, but what can we do as a people to take this internationally? I'd like to find out that. Thank you very much.
No problem. Very good question. One, we have to know the history, and again, that's kind of hard because a lot was done to read, to not take any documentation. So it's very hard. The history is out there, but you have to do harder than just going on YouTube, on Google. If you go on Google and research Jab, you get some crazy things, You get stuff about man fall along in molasses and things. And this is on the internet. So you have persons who might read that and say, yeah, man fall along. That doesn't make any sense. So, going back to the whole history of Jab, a lot was done to demonize anything of African descent, which also includes your history. So to answer your question, we need to have verified facts. We need to have a place for easy access of cultural referencing. I think Trinidad, Jamaica, and these places, they are in front of Grenada. We are trying to get up to scale to have proper, easy referencing, and we are a very big part of that. And I think the wheel is turning. That's one. And also, I think cultural integrations are critical right now for this to function in this society. Because you see, social media is very, 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 very popular now. And one video with us in Trinidad went already. It went viral. So, and then they see the pyramid guys, and they're like, yo, who is them guy blowing fire and thing? First time all people seeing that. So we need to be able to function in today's society, use the digital platforms to really push so generations to come will have access to what went and be able to have cultural referencing. And I think that's something that all the Caribbean need to come together. And I think we'll be able in 10, 20 years be in a better footing than we are right now.
Okay, so Leslie, we have so much to say and so little time we have. So we'll take one more question, so we need to move on. Please understand that we have lots of presentation here. We can say all day, I know that I'm feeling the vibes. I'm feeling the vibes. It's like you don't want to leave. So we'll take one more question.
Yeah.
I think one of the tools of colonialism is to detach people from its history and heritage.
Correct.
And make people seem as though they're just a mere 100-year-old experience.
Exactly.
That time your experience spans into centuries.
Exactly.
But yet, I guess through even DNA memory, all these expressions still re-emerge in the new world.
The resilience of the job.
Right? And so what I wanted to know, have any efforts been taken towards trying to find back that, history, like exactly what region it was built out of in Africa, what tribe, what was the social thing, with it, that caused this expression to be booted then and then transported against
correct.
in the transatlantic journey and all of that.
Well, from our research, we at least have it down to the West African culture. Yeah. But again, like I was saying, it's a lot of work because remember it was a deliberate attempt to rid you of your identity. You have to understand that. I think we are the only race that was done to. And slavery is a human atrocity. That's why the reparative justice. If anybody saw our ban on Juve mourning, it was about reparative justice, and JAB has to stand for that because at the end of the day, we need to have not from a financial point of view. There's no amount of money that could suffice for the sufferings of ancestors, but from a psychological point of view, from a cultural point of view, from an identity point of view, we need to make a change. And I think the CARICOM 10-step agenda is a step in the right direction, and all that's going to aid for cultural referencing and have more precise information as to us. So it's a work in progress. So I think JAB, as it relates to revolt and resilience, has a major part to play with that fight. Yeah. All right, guys, it's been fun. Lee and the entire International Caribbean Convention, I want to say thank you. We need spaces like this. We need conferences. We need conventions like this to spread the word and to also show the world that JAB is not demonic. JAB is a strength. JAB is a resilience. Thank you.